Yes.
Then, on January 28th, 2022, Brian Higgins is at the Waterfall Bar and Grill after 11:30 p.m., right?
He was.
Hey, Leslie.
Karen Reed then walks into that same Waterfall Bar and Grill, accompanied by her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, correct?
They did.
Brian Higgins then texted Karen Reed, who's standing in the room. Well, correct?
Correct.
Karen Reed ignored that text, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Karen Reed did not respond to that text.
There's no text.
Brian Higgins then, a little less than an hour later, texts John directly, "You coming here?" with 3 question marks, correct?
Correct. It's been stipulated.
That is an accurate timeline of the events that we've just talked about, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're also aware of a call, your investigation revealed a call between Brian Higgins and Brian Albert at 2:22 a.m. on the 29th, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did your investigation reveal a call between between Brian Higgins and Brian Albert at 2:22 a.m.?
Objection.
Sustained.
May we approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
Oh, good Lord. This is why I don't stream trials. Okay. I was just saying all this in the chat, but people don't know. The only time, okay, this is a retrial. So when the first trial was going on, I ignored it because I thought it would be too long, and I thought so again. But it's interesting. A ton of people asked me about it. So I've had a very busy week. I had a court appearance this morning again. But the only time I ever knew anything about this case, I was in Korea. I was at Legal Vice's place, and he was streaming about it. And we may have had cocktails before that stream started. Yes. I start the stream just so I could learn something, and then it goes directly to break. And now I'm going to bore you with Korea stories. And then this kind of makes me sad because, I mean, for those of you who don't know, Legal Vice has passed away. So it kind of, I don't go over the top with it, but it sort of brings back a sad memory. The memory actually is happy, but it makes me sad, that he's gone. That's where I'm at. I don't even know. I don't even know what's going on. But as I recall, and again, Legal Vices, or Jeff, as I called him, and I had gone to dinner, and we weren't out of our minds, but we were feeling no pain. By the time we started this stream. And frankly, I was distracted by his two cute little British bulldogs. But to the extent I was watching this thing, I thought, this case sucks for the prosecution. Why are they doing this? And then I think it hung, and now we're back. Oh, Andrea, I'm on here talking about how I don't know what this thing's about. It's a murder, but literally, I was in Korea. I did that night. Then I went to Japan. Then I came back to the United States, and I haven't thought about it since. And I haven't watched 1 second of it. The only thing I know is that people ask me about it. So I literally clicked it on, and I thought, okay, if I'm going to sit here and look at this, why don't I just stream? And here's why. Because the second I turn on the frickin' stream, we get a fan. And that's why I don't stream, and I forgot. This is why I don't do trials. No more trials. Trials suck. As if I don't know this. As if I haven't lived them live myself. As if I haven't tried a bunch of cases. I know how boring they are. Your average trial is probably, your average, like, no big deal trial is probably 20 hours long with 10 to 15 minutes of actual. That's standard.
Sure.
Indeed. At least we had movement.
Sergeant Bukhenik, did you become aware during the course of your investigation, then I'll narrow the time frame, during the course of your investigation, that there were calls between Brian Higgins and Brian Albert at approximately 2:22 a.m. on the 29th?
During the course of my investigation, I was not aware of that. If you have a document that I can see, I can tell you if I've ever seen it before.
Did you seek to secure Brian Albert's cell phone to determine what calls he did and didn't make on
No.
January 29th or January 28th?
No, we did not.
Okay. In your experience, would a phone extraction, a cell phone extraction of Brian Albert's phone have revealed calls made and received in the time frame that we're talking about, the 28th and the 29th of January 2022?
If a phone is extracted, the records of
Absolutely.
phone calls being made and received would show those records.
You did receive information from Brian Higgins.
Seriously, thank you all.
Specifically, the texts.
I will
that
probably
he
delete the
claimed
stream after
he
it's over.
Pulled off of his phone and gave
I'm
to you,
literally just
correct?
watching it.
Correct.
We received text messages that I read today that Brian Higgins provided from his phone.
Did you seek to secure his actual phone for a forensic download or forensic mirror image to get the actual calls made and received or text messages made and received from his phone?
No, we did not.
At some point, this is just yes or no. At some point, did you become aware of a call between Brian Higgins and Brian Albert at 2:22 a.m. on the morning of the 29th? Just yes or no.
No.
As you sit here today, this is new information to you. This is let me rephrase that. This is unknown information to you. You do not have any information about that?
Objection.
Sustain. You need a time frame, Mr. Jeff.
I realize that, Judge. That's why I'm asking it this way. As you sit here, are you aware of a phone call between Brian Albert and Brian Higgins at 2:22 a.m. on January 29th, 2022?
Look, you just shared that with me. I have no memory or record of seeing that it actually took place. I do not know.
Okay, so you've never heard that before. That was what I was getting to. You've never heard that before.
No.
Okay.
Okay, is it
You
looking
indicated
better
that
for the
you did not
prosecution this time,
see-
or does it still suck?
To secure Brian Albert's phone
Thank you.
to do a phone extraction at any time, correct?
We did not try to get Brian Albert's phone for any reason whatsoever.
Did you become aware during the course of your investigation that Brian Albert destroyed his phone?
I'd like to be seen. Objection.
Jurors, disregard that question. Go over to sidebar, please.
Oh, good Lord. Are they trying to get into a malicious prosecution scenario? What are they doing? I know it's day 13 and I haven't watched 1 second of this. I'm telling you, don't watch this stream. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Here's what I do have, though. I got this. This is Alyssa's fault. It's not appropriate here, but for future reference.
Will you be quiet? Do you understand English? You have a right to remain silent.
Coochie. Gotcha.
I mean, it's always good we have new clips. I always get so excited when I have a good new clip I like. How long is this thing for? Oh my God. Andrea, you naughty girl. Stop it. All right, wait a second. I think I have something. Are we doing this still? Oh my God, the fans are fantastic. All right, I've got something literally that's only slightly better than the fans, but I think it's an improvement. Let's do this. Instead of the fans, let's watch this woman put on her makeup in the middle of an appearance until they come back.
Okay, we'll
Bottom
keep
right.
confirmation set.
Right. Thank you, Your Honor. I think those are all of the cases that I have.
All right.
So I will defer to Ms. Rowe or Mr. Pazderka.
Yeah, Mr. Pazderka, are you ready to go here?
Yes, Your Honor. If we could start by calling Tracy Baker on the 9 a.m. calendar. She's number 3 and
The
present on
cases are
Zoom.
irrelevant. They suck. It's just Nicole Simpson going.
Baker,
full
can you turn on a camera and microphone, please?
Getting ready for court.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And we're here for a pretrial today.
But already being in court.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, we are asking to set a motion hearing date. I did about a half hour ago, so I don't know if the court's processed it yet. File or email over to the clerk to file a motion to dismiss based on Ms. Baker was incarcerated back in 2022, 2023 and filed a final disposition request. And so I'm asking to have a hearing on that.
All right. Yeah, Ms. Garrett will get that set up for you. And we have confirmation on June 18th.
I really need a last on here to explain
Yes, Your
what the
Honor.
hell is going on.
Obviously,
So-
we'll be asking to leave those dates in
15
place. And
minutes.
just,
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Ms. Garrett will get that calendared for you here shortly.
Did you become aware of a call that was made by Brian Higgins at 1:35 a.m. while at Canton Police Department?
I am not aware of that, no.
So you did nothing in terms of investigating any phone call that Brian Higgins did or didn't make while at Canton PD on the night or the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022?
We never sought to get Brian Higgins' phone. He was not looked at as a individual that we would need to get his information for any reason at that point.
Even after you received and read all of those text messages between him and Karen Reed,
Correct.
and even after you became aware of the timeline that you just walked through, starting on January 23rd, going all the way into January 28th and into January 29th. You did nothing to investigate that.
We had the information that we had. We did not need to get his phone.
And the information that you had came from Brian Higgins himself, not from a forensic extraction, correct?
The extraction that Brian Higgins provided was a forensics extraction of his communications with Mr. O'Keefe and Karen Reed. We had Mr. O'Keefe's phone and we had Karen Reed's phone, so we can verify and confirm that those text message communications were accurate, unredacted, not deleted, and were true representation of what their communications consisted of.
And that was a representation made by whom?
The totality of it.
That was a representation made by whom? A person made that representation to you that it was fair and accurate. Who made that representation?
It wasn't the person, it was the extractions between the three devices.
Well, an extraction that you were handed on a device by someone, correct?
No, I said that we had all three devices. And as I told Mr. Higgins in our interview together, I said, Brian, we have those two devices.
Meaning
If
Sean's
you,
and Karen's.
correct.
Okay.
If there's anything deleted or altered in any way, we will have proof of it. So please make sure that you understand the magnitude of this situation. We're investigating a homicide. It needs to be accurate, and it was.
And you trusted that coming from Brian Higgins rather than simply getting an extraction from his phone. Correct? Yes.
I trusted him, yes, because we trust and verify. And after verifying, the extractions were correct.
And following that verification of the text messages, did that raise any suspicion in your mind about any possible motives Brian Higgins may have relative to John O'Keefe?
Suspicions of motives? Is that your question?
Correct.
No, the evidence spoke for itself. The honesty, cooperation of all the witnesses and corroborating, supporting facts spoke for themselves. So I was not suspicious of his motives. The conversation was documented over text message. Spoke for itself.
Supporting documentation, including a text message at 2:20 a.m. just
The residence
minutes
locator defense.
before John O'Keefe arrived at 34 Fairview from Brian Higgins, right? 12:20 a.m. That's one of the factors, correct?
That's one of the factors that is part of the entire investigation, yes.
One of the other factors is John O'Keefe's body was found in the lawn at 34 Fairview, just feet from the front door, side door, and the garage door.
That is when Mr. O'Keefe was found, on the left side of the lawn, yes.
And one of the factors was you originally said that it appeared that it may be an incident involving a cocktail glass to the face. Initially, please.
Based on verbal reports, initially, that was a possibility. Again, it was before we spoke to.
That's what I thought. First time I looked at it, but
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
I don't know. I
initially, it
never
was a
watched closely.
possibility.
And when you saw John O'Keefe at the hospital, a big contusion above his right eye, correct?
That is not correct.
He had a big egg just above his right eye.
That is not correct.
You did not see that?
His eyelids were swollen, not above his eye. And there wasn't a contusion.
Two different paramedics said that they saw what they described as an egg above his right eye. Well, let me ask you differently. Did you speak to any of the paramedics?
Yes.
Did they describe an egg above his right eye?
I'd have to see a report to actually be described as an egg above his right eye.
Did you notice a laceration at his right eye?
His right eyelid did have a tiny, tiny laceration.
Did you see a small laceration at his left nostril on his nose?
A tiny, tiny laceration, yes.
You noted that he didn't have any broken bones or fractures other than to his skull?
I did not know that. I didn't conduct x-rays or conduct the autopsy. I'm not a medical professional.
You didn't ask the doctors at the time you went and visited him and saw him in the hospital whether or not he had broken bones or fractures?
I don't believe they reported that.
And another factor,
Yeah, that's
That you
unimportant
considered
stuff that
was-
doctors wouldn't reveal.
the fact that in the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022, around 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., there were no taillight pieces found at that location? Zero? Do you consider that?
At what point?
On January 29th, when say 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m.? Consider that?
Once we learned that there was damage to the defendant's right rear taillight,
Sergeant,
I could only consider at that point because I didn't know what I didn't know.
right.
We don't know, we don't know. We work with the evidence that's presented and we develop the investigation.
And the evidence that was presented at that time, Sergeant, was a leaf blower was used to search the area, the exact area that you've described for this jury as being the area around the fire hydrant, flagpole, where John's body was, and no taillight material was found at all in the first searches. You're aware of that, yes or no?
Yes,
As a matter of fact, you're also aware that no taillight material was found until after that SUV was in Massachusetts State Police custody and sitting at the Sally Port in Canton. Correct?
I believe the first taillight piece was found after it was in our custody. I don't know the exact time. I'd have to see it.
When you talk to Brian Albert,
That's within
I'm sorry,
within the
when
judge's
you talk to
discretion.
Brian Higgins,
And my guess is
Did you
this
ask
comes
Brian
back
Higgins
hung or an
about potentially
NG
seeing
from the 30
John's body?
seconds I've been watching.
when he left 34 Fairview and headed over to Canton PD.
Yes, I did.
You knew that at that time, say 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning, there was about 0.2 of an inch and the dusting of snow, correct? Very light.
At that point in time, there was a coating. I cannot speak to the amount of snow that was on the ground.
But Brian Higgins told you in that interview that he didn't see the body because it was hidden by a snowbank.
Objection.
Did he say that to you?
I don't have a memory of that, Your Honor.
May I approach you, Your Honor?
Yes.
Take a look at page 3, the highlighted portion, if you wouldn't mind. May I approach?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection that Brian Higgins said something about a snowbank at the time when he left 34 Fairview?
He stated the reason he did not pay attention to the grass is he was concerned with his snowplow on his vehicle and was not paying attention to anything over the snowbank, just with the plow in front of him as he operated the vehicle.
And of course, you knew at the time, as a detective and an investigator, you knew at the time that with a dusting of snow, there is no snowbank. Right.
He mentioned plowing the driveway for the Alberts when he arrived. So there might have been coating and he was just plowing it and then creating a line. I cannot speak to how much snow was actually being plowed with the dusting that was on the ground. So there might have been a small snowbank. Again, he was referencing it. He was not paying attention to anything behind the snowbank. So behind it.
Coochie. Gotcha.
Yeah, he's,
Sorry, he talked about the snowbank being in the lawn, not the driveway, correct? That's how he described it.
he said he was not paying attention anything past the snowbank being the lawn.
And did not pay too much attention to the lawn area behind the snowbank, correct?
Right, off to that area. Right.
Did that raise any suspicions in your mind that Brian Higgins may have been being less than truthful with you?
No.
Getting back to the Waterfall Bar and Grill, you were also aware that Brian Albert was at the Waterfall, correct?
At one point, yes, we learned that.
And you knew that Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were friends with each other. Is that right?
We learned that as well, yes.
Ma'am, are you a whore?
You've already indicated that you did not seek Brian Higgins's phone records. I may have asked you this, and if I did, I apologize. Did you seek Brian Albert's phone records or an extraction from his phone?
No, we did not.
Did you look at the entirety of the Waterfall video? Did you review the entirety of the Waterfall video when you first obtained it? Or have you looked at it since?
I have at one point or another viewed the entire video, yes.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, this has already been marked as evidence, but I cannot read it. It's not my notes. Exhibit 22, I'm told.
Okay.
May we exhibit that for the, or present that for the jurors?
Yes.
And I'm asked to advance this to runtime 8:30 to about 11:08, so a couple of minutes with the court's permission.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and play that. Can we pause it briefly, Mr. Wolk?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Can you please, if you can, point for the jurors whether or not you see Brian Higgins in that video?
I'll use the screen in front of me for initial indication. I believe that that is Brian Higgins right there.
Can you do me a favor, just so everybody has a perspective? Can you also point to him there? Okay.
There you go, right there. I believe that is Brian Higgins.
Okay. Do you see Brian Albert in that video?
I can't tell you exactly. Maybe if you run it a little bit longer, or zoom it in, I could possibly tell you. But from right here, right now, I cannot.
Sergeant, why don't we play this for a couple of seconds? And if you don't mind, if you get to a point where you recognize the person that you know is Brian Albert, could you just tell me to stop and I'll pause it?
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and play it with the court's permission.
Sure.
Can you pause it?
Stop it.
Go ahead, Sergeant.
Brian Albert is the individual right there. Right there.
Can you describe what Brian Albert and, by the way, for the record, Your Honor, the witnesses indicated the person toward the left, right under the 2-9 on the chyron on top, the 29?
Yes.
Can you describe what you see the two individuals, Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, doing in this scene?
It looks like they are facing each other, possibly squaring off in a stance.
Can we
Maybe
go ahead
ho
and
shit.
play this forward, please? Can we pause it? Sergeant, did you see either of the two men or both of them squaring off in what you would consider to be a fighting stance?
I guess it could be considered that. I would look more like ref housing. It's a couple of buddies messing around.
Not suggesting they were actually fighting, but a fighting stance.
Yeah, no, they were not. They were not fighting. No.
Go ahead and play it. Can you pause it? Sergeant, do you happen to see in this shot, just for orientation, do you see my client, Ms. Reed?
I'm sorry. I was paying attention to the two gentlemen.
That's fair. That's kind of an unfair question. Could you, if we play this a few more seconds, could you look around, scan around, and tell me if you see someone that you believe is my client?
Yes, I will try.
Let's go ahead and play. Go ahead and pause it. Do you see anybody that looks like Ms. Reed?
Yes, I believe she's in top left, top right corner of the frame talking to Mr. O'Keefe and I believe two other gentlemen
Long hair?
on your client?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this up to 11:08, please. Is that up to 11:08? Okay, thank you. We can take that one down.
I already am.
This is, if we'd have the lights, thank you. Sergeant, this is at the Waterfall just before midnight on January 29th, 2022, correct? What you just saw.
That footage is from the waterfall just before midnight on 28th.
That footage is
I'm
from the
sorry.
waterfall.
My mistake. On the January 28th, 2022.
Correct.
Going into midnight, January
Forget
29th,
about it.
2022.
Yes, sir.
All right. This would be just minutes before everyone headed out of the waterfall and went back toward Fairview, correct?
Not everyone. The band didn't go to the Fairview.
Well, obviously, I'm not talking about the band or the bartenders. I'm talking about Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, Jen McCabe, Matt McCabe, John O'Keefe, Karen Reed, those folks. Correct?
It's before some of those individuals left the bar and headed to 34 Fairview.
If we could push to runtime 16:35, 17:22, while you're queuing that up, did you see, after I asked you the initial time about the stance that the two men were taking, Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, did you see them continue to take what could be reasonably described as a fighting stance toward each other, even in jest?
They were squaring off and roughhousing, yeah.
Okay, what does squaring off mean?
Facing an opponent in like wrestling or a martial art, I guess.
Hands up?
Yes, squaring off, yeah.
Where is this, Wisconsin?
You are former military
Yes,
and current law enforcement.
yes.
Is hand-to-hand fighting taught in both military and paramilitary organizations like law enforcement?
I had hand-to-hand combat training in the Marine Corps. I had defensive tactics in law enforcement capacity in the Marine Corps, federal, local, and state academies.
Are you aware that Brian Albert is former military?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
I am aware that Brian Albert is former military.
And Brian Albert was also a Boston police officer.
I am aware of that as well, yes.
Are you aware that Brian Higgins was former military and a combat veteran?
Okay, this is Massachusetts
Now I
where
am,
this happened?
yes.
And are you aware that Brian Higgins, at the time this was taken, this video was taken, was also a federal law enforcement agent?
I was aware, yes, I was,
Okay.
yeah.
If we can go ahead and run at 16:35 to 17:22 with the court's permission.
Okay.
If you can pause it. Can you describe for the jurors what you see Brian Albert and Brian Higgins doing in this footage?
Based on my understanding, it looks like he's giving him the Heimlich maneuver, or
As if
abdominal thrust, I guess. I don't know what he's doing.
Brian Albert's got his hands around
Hey, now.
Brian Higgins, correct?
That's what it looks like from here. I have no idea what he's doing.
Could it be described as wrestling or grappling?
I
It
guess.
could be
yeah.
described as a lot of
Let's go ahead and
things.
play it.
Most of which will get me kicked off YouTube.
Thank you. If we can take that down. During the course of reviewing this video, or the entirety of the video, not just the clips that you just reviewed, did you see where John O'Keefe was, generally speaking, relative to Brian Higgins and Brian Albert?
Throughout the entire time?
He wasn't standing still, I understand that, but generally, was he standing with them or was he closer to the bar in the back of the video?
I believe after Mr. O'Keefe arrived and embraced a few people with hugs, I guess if I had to estimate, most of the time he was on the other side of the table, which would be closest to the bar area.
And after you saw Mr. O'Keefe walk in and greet everybody with salutations, did you ever see him interacting with Brian Higgins and Brian Albert throughout the evening again on this video?
On this video, I did not know.
I'd like to play runtime, one more clip, Your Honor, runtime 1915 to 1957, about 45 or 50 seconds. Can you pause it? Just to orient the jurors, can you see any individuals that you earlier described, Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, John O'Keefe, Karen Reed, any of those individuals in this clip as yet? Or do we need to play it a little further?
I would need you to play it a little bit further, please.
Is it possible, with the court's permission, to zoom in on the upper portion of the video?
Okay.
You could center that just a little bit toward the right. Other way. There we go. Thank you. And if we could go ahead and play that from 1915 to about 1957. Pause it. Do you recognize the three people center screen now?
I really can't make it out. I would have to be assuming,
I don't want you to assume.
guessing. I can't make it out
Okay, let's
to
play,
identify each individual. If
let's
you
play it forward. if
Okay,
we
are you
can.
related to the witness?
One more time.
I gotta know.
At this point, go ahead and pause it. At this point, can you make out any individuals?
Yes.
Okay.
At this point, I can say that looks like Brian Higgins in the middle of the three gentlemen.
What is he wearing?
It looks like a hooded sweatshirt.
Okay. And the person to his, sorry, let's do it from your perspective or the juror's perspective. The person to the left of Brian Higgins.
I believe that's Brian Albert.
And the person to the right of Brian Higgins.
To the right from my perspective.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I believe that's Chris Albert, but I'm not positive. I'm
Okay,
not
let's go ahead
positive.
and play it. Stop. Did you see Brian Higgins just do something?
I was not paying attention to his gesture. We have to replay that, please.
Does it appear he's looking a particular direction?
He is looking in a particular direction based on that frame, yes.
Is that toward the bar area?
It's in that direction. I don't know exactly where he's looking, whether he's looking at the bar, to the right of the bar. I can't tell from this.
Okay. Okay. And John O'Keefe, you indicated earlier that John O'Keefe, that's where you saw him most of the video, toward the bar area, to the right of the bar.
If you scroll to push the screen to the right, I can tell you where Mr. O'Keefe is.
With the court's permission.
Yes.
Do you see Mr. O'Keefe in that group of people?
I cannot make him out. Could you play the video? Maybe he is behind an individual.
Let's go back to, if with the court's permission, I'd like to go back to the full video, and let's play it from here. Pause it. Could you see what was happening with Brian Higgins?
He was gesturing to someone.
You know-
I was trying to see Mr. O'Keefe. We were talking about Mr. O'Keefe, so
Understood.
I apologize.
Understood. With the court's permission, could I play the video one more time with it focused on the other side of the bar?
Okay.
Thank you. Last time.
Can you tell me who to focus on, please,
Yes.
so I'm not looking for the wrong person?
Sure.
Thank you.
Pause it. Do you see John O'Keefe there?
Yes, I do.
Okay, can you point to where he is for the jurors, please, on both televisions?
Mr. O'Keefe is right there wearing the sweatshirt, multi-tone gray sweatshirt with the hood on it and his hat.
And
And
the
this
other TV?
right
Okay.
there. He's appears to be at the bar paying the bill.
Okay. With this perspective, could we just go ahead and play that, the 30 or 45 seconds one more time? But please focus on Mr. O'Keefe. Pause it. Do you see where Mr. O'Keefe is looking at this point?
Yes.
Where is he looking? What direction?
Well, from this vantage point, it looks like he's looking to the left on the screen at the individual he's appears to be conversing with.
Okay, go ahead and play it. Pause it. And what about now?
Same individual.
Okay.
He's
go ahead and play it.
still engaged in conversation.
Pause it. And what about now?
He's taking a sip of beer
Right. Which direction is he looking?
in the same direction.
Okay. Go ahead and play. And go ahead and pause it.
At least he didn't say
Could you go
conversate.
back out to the full screen? At this point, does it appear in the video that Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, Chris Albert have all left the bar?
There's someone standing across the table from Mr. O'Keefe to his rear. I don't know who that is, so I can't testify to that. The others have left.
Given this perspective, now that we've seen both of them zoomed, do you have an opinion as to whether or not it appeared that Mr. Higgins was gesturing toward John O'Keefe just before he left the bar?
Given this perspective, he might have been. I don't know who he was gesturing at.
Okay. We can have the lights up. We'll take that down. I want to change gears for a second. Let me ask one more series of questions, if I could, Sergeant. What we've just seen was literally Brian Albert, Brian Higgins leaving Waterfall to go to a different location. What was the location they were headed to? based on your investigation?
They were heading to 34 Ferry Road.
And shortly thereafter, who else followed to go over to 34 Fairview?
I'm sorry, you said Chris Albert?
No, I
No,
didn't.
you didn't. Okay.
Nope.
Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, they went to 34 Fairview, and then Mr. O'Keefe also traveled there.
Thank you. I want to shift gears, if I could, to another video. Did you review certain ring videos, specifically relative to One Meadows, the outdoor ring video servicing the carport area?
Yes, I have reviewed those videos.
If we could, Your Honor, just a moment. This has previously been marked as 12A. Okay. If we could, with the court's permission, zoom in on the Chevy Traverse in the upper left-hand, the vehicle in the upper left-hand corner of the video.
Okay.
Pause it. Let's go ahead and zoom in on the upper left-hand corner. Okay, go ahead and play. Pause. Did you see anything happen with the left rear tire of the other car in the driveway?
Which car are you talking about?
The highlighted portion, the parked car, which is the left rear tire that's zoomed in on.
I wasn't paying attention to the tire. Can you play it again, please?
With the court's permission?
Okay.
Let's try that one more time. Pause it. Okay, you can take that down. Did you see anything happen with that left rear tire of the Chevy Traverse?
Based on that video, it appears there might have been movement there.
Last year, and you've seen this video several times, correct?
I have.
You saw it during the course of your investigation, not just in the course of proceedings, correct?
Right.
Last year, you indicated that you observed the vehicle, Ms. Reed's vehicle, come near Mr. O'Keefe's car. Which one in that video was Mr. O'Keefe's car?
The Chevy Traverse.
And that would be the car that was parked and static, not moving, correct?
Correct.
Having seen this, do you still believe that the SUV came near the Chevy Traverse, or do you believe it struck the Chevy Traverse?
With the clarity of that video, there is a lot of movement in the shot. Not with great certainty. It appeared that there was movement of the tire, but I cannot say with 100% certainty that there was movement.
You can't say with 100% certainty that that tire literally shifted and wiggled upon some sort of impact.
Based on the video, there appeared to have been movement.
Okay. You had this video for the first 3 years of your investigation. You had this video very early on, correct?
That's correct.
And for the first several years of your investigation, did you either deny, well, let me ask it this way. Was it your assessment that the SUV did not contact that Chevy Traverse?
My assessment with the totality of it all was that based on the video, there was no damage that occurred to either vehicle at that point in time.
That wasn't my question, Sergeant. My question was your assessment that there was no contact between the two vehicles? Is that what you assessed during the course of your investigation?
I did not assess that there was no contact, no.
Even as recently as last year, you testified in another proceeding that the SUV came close to the Chevy Traverse, right?
Yes, I said there's a lot of movement in that shot. It's difficult to tell if there was more for me to observe and push that certainty level up. I would have testified differently.
As you've seen the video enhanced, zoomed in on, do you wish to amend that testimony from last year?
Objection.
Ask it differently.
Sure. Given what you've just seen, what is your testimony now about whether or not that SUV struck the Chevy Traverse?
There is movement of the tire. There is
Movement
movement.
of the tire. Could be an earthquake, could be someone standing there and pushing the car. I'm asking you, based on what you just saw in this video, do you believe that the SUV struck the Chevy Traverse?
Logically speaking, the two vehicles had to have come into contact for the tire to move.
They had to have collided, correct?
At a slow speed, yes.
Which area of the SUV collided with the Chevy Traverse? The front, the rear?
It appears from the video it's the right rear area of the Lexus SUV that comes into contact with the Traverse.
What time was this video taken?
I believe that is at 5:07 a.m., if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you, Sergeant. I want to change gears again, if I could, and ask you about a dog. You're aware that the Alberts, Nicole Albert, Brian Albert, had a dog that they named Chloe on on January 28th, 29th of 2022, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow the question. Were you aware of that?
At what point in time, sir?
January 28th, 29th, that area.
Was I aware that they owned a dog on January 28th or 29th?
No. Are you aware now that on January 28th or 29th, they owned a dog? There was a dog in the house.
Now I am aware, yes.
Okay. During the course of your investigation, you learned that, correct?
Yes.
During the course of your investigation, did you also become aware that the Alberts got rid of their family dog?
Objection.
I'm going to see you at sidebar on this, please.
Sure.
Which is number one, wrong.
Anxiety leads to constipation.
Behavior in this case is disgusting.
Any objection, Mr. Miller?
I actually object to everything he's doing.
I didn't know that it was the two rugs that were together.
Oh,
'cause
bullshit.
And excuse me if I'm a Matlock fan.
That I gave Ms. Milligan, I'm assuming bacterial vaginosis.
Meaning she was bleeding out of her hoo-ha.
Can I say the words that she said, or?
Sure. I need for you to tell me what went on.
That I'm not on that whole shit. I'm not with that whole shit.
Attention, esteemed viewers. If you are hearing this message, it means that you are sadly witnessing a dark moment in the history of legal discourse. Yes, it's true. Law Talk with Mike is experiencing what we in the business call a plot hole-sized lull. This is, of course, due entirely to Mike's, let's say, ambitious approach to preparation. And by ambitious, I mean utterly devoid. Yes, the very fabric of our legal system, as represented by this live stream, has encountered a, shall we say, temporal anomaly. A glitch, a hiccup, a veritable vacuum of action. And who is to blame? Why none other than our esteemed yet woefully unprepared host, Mike. So sit back, relax, maybe grab a snack. This musical interlude is just gonna be a thing. We'll get back to the legal stuff eventually, probably. So to fill the gaping void where insightful legal analysis should be, and due to a lack of any ability to keep your attention, Mike has in his infinite wisdom decided to subject you to this artistic expression. God help us all, please do not hold Mike accountable for this. Bless his heart, Mike didn't quite foresee these moments of dead air when he planned for this whole thing. He clearly has no idea what he's doing, so sit back, relax, and maybe grab a snack. This musical interlude is just gonna be a thing. We'll get back to the legal stuff eventually, probably.
And send out notice. So Ms. Baker, the motion hearing that Mr. Pazderk is talking about is in the hands of our calendaring clerk, and she'll get it set up for a hearing shortly and send out notice to you and Mr. Pazderka.
Let's watch the rest of this mid court glow up here.
Okay.
Okay.
I just asked, do you have the correct email?
We don't send out notice by email. We send out notice in, snail mail, and we also do text. Are you getting those notices?
I have not received a text message, but I will figure it out for sure.
And
well, let's see.
Your Honor, I can forward the court.
I mean, seriously, what the hell is going on down there?
Yeah, we'll get those out to you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, you're good to go, Ms. Baker.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Okay. Mr. Pazderka?
Yes, Your Honor. Next matter I have ready is Brian Shiley, also on the 9 a.m. calendar. He's present on Zoom, and there should be a plea form in the judge's folder.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Shiley.
Hello, sir. Your Honor, how you doing?
Good. And yes, I did receive that plea form, so I'll open that up. All right, here we go. All right, Mr. Shiley, Mr. Pazderka sent your guilty plea here to the charge of operating a vehicle without an interlock.
Why the hell would you do this on camera? None of it surprised me. Why would you do it during court on camera? Why? Somebody explain that to me.
Have you reviewed that guilty plea with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and you're giving up your rights by pleading guilty to this charge. So that means you give up the right to go to trial and to have the prosecutor prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury, the right to call witnesses to testify in your defense, the right to hear and question witnesses who testify against you. You give up the presumption of innocence and the right to appeal your conviction to a higher court. And do you have any questions about those rights?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. The maximum sentence for this offense is 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. I see there's a sentence recommendation that I should give you credit for 1 day served and close the case. But you need to understand I'm not required to follow that and could impose up to the maximum sentence. All right, and Mr. Shiley, did anybody make any threats or promises to get you to plead guilty to this charge?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, now what the hell are we on to?
And written here on your plea form, it says on January 16th, 2025 in Thurston County, I drove a vehicle that was not equipped with a functioning ignition interlock device when I was required to have one installed. Is that your statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll accept your guilty plea. All right, and Ms. Kitmacher for the city.
Yes, Your Honor. They would just ask the court to follow the agreed upon recommendation.
Mr. Pazderka?
Yes, Your Honor, we ask that you follow the agreed recommendation. I do believe that it is fair and reasonable.
All right, and Mr. Shiley, do you want to say anything before I decide?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then I will accept the recommendation as given. Your sentence will be 1 day. You have credit for 1 day already served, and then there will be no financial obligations.
Okay, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you, Mr. Shiley.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Is that only after you make a banter?
Yes, Your Honor. Next to call number 1 on the 9:30 calendar, Anthony Abel. I don't believe he has appeared, and I do not have any representations at this time.
All right, I'll check the docket and see if there's been any contact. There has not. Okay, strike the...
I think I forgot where I left off. May I, Your Honor? Thank you. Sergeant, at some point during the course of your investigation, did you learn that the Albert family had gotten rid of the dog named Chloe?
We learned that they no longer cared for the dog. I don't know if get rid of is accurate.
Well, they don't have it anymore, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what would you call it?
Giving it up for adoption, I guess? I don't know. I'm not a pet owner.
Or what if they didn't give it up for adoption?
I'm sorry?
What if they didn't give it up for adoption?
Rehomed, I guess?
Okay. So it's no longer with them, right?
Correct. They no longer own the dog.
Okay, so they got rid of it. It's like you get rid of a car, right? Right?
You can get rid of a car, yeah.
Okay. And you can get rid of a dog. That's all I'm asking.
Yes, you can get rid of a dog, yes.
Okay. At some point during the course of your investigation, did you find out that the Albert family got rid of Chloe?
We learned that they no longer owned Chloe, yes.
Okay. When did you learn that?
I cannot tell you exactly. I can tell you when we looked into it officially.
When did you look into it officially?
I traveled to the dog's home and assisted with identifying the dog and investigating that animal.
Okay. What documentation did you use to identify that animal?
It was veterinary records.
I'll stop you there. Veterinary records from whom? From the Albert family? When they,
I did not get any veterinary records from the Albert family.
the veterinary records that you did get were veterinary records that had been utilized with the Albert name? Where were these veterinary records?
The veterinary records were with the vet that's caring for the dog and also owns the dog now.
Okay.
And those records also had been dated prior to when the dog was owned by the Alberts.
Okay. So other than some veterinary records that, and by the way, the dog's not even named Chloe, correct?
The new owners renamed the dog, yes.
Cora?
That's correct.
And the new owners did not get that dog from Brian and Nicole Albert, did they?
No, they did not.
They got it from a separate person. Is that right?
That is correct.
Separate person named Riley?
That's her last name, yes.
And did this person Riley have any records showing purchase of Chloe or adoption of Chloe from the Alberts?
No.
You did write a report about the newest owner of this animal, this dog, correct?
I documented my trip to the location and the steps I took and services I provided in the investigation.
And in that report, you omitted the name of the new owner?
I'm not sure.
Did you omit the location of where you actually came in contact with this animal?
You're going to have to show me my report. I don't remember.
Yes.
Okay, I apologize about that.
No problem.
I'm the one slowing us down just a little bit. May I approach?
Yes.
Did this, reviewing your report, refresh your recollection as to whether or not the new owner's identifying information is in this report?
It did.
And is that information in the report?
No, it is not.
You've got, there are some veterinary records that you supplied along with your report, correct?
Yes.
That you gathered?
I'm sorry, what was
That
it?
you gathered along while you were doing?
Yes, yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
If you'll take a look at those 4 documents. Do those appear to be the veterinary records that you gathered related to this animal?
Yes, it does.
Do any of those records, any of the veterinary records, the 4 pages that you're holding, even include the name Cora or the name of the new owner?
I browsed through it, and no, it does not appear that Cora or the new owner are included in any of these 4 pages.
May I approach?
Yes.
You don't have any transfer records for Chloe, correct?
All the records that are provided by the owner.
I'm going to go through a series of questions, Sergeant. If you can answer it yes or no, that might make it go a little faster. You don't have any transfer records, correct?
I wouldn't know what it looks like. That's why it's even quicker me telling you that that's all the records that I have.
Okay. I want an answer to my question. You
Okay.
don't have any transfer records.
I don't know what a transfer record would look like, so
the
I
answer
can't.
is no.
I don't know.
Okay. You don't have any rehoming records.
I don't know.
You don't have any purchase records.
I don't know.
The only records you do have are those 4 pages of veterinary records that don't have the name Cora and don't have the new owner's name. Correct?
That's correct.
You would agree, shifting gears for a second, that timely report writing obviously is an important aspect of any investigation, correct?
It is important, but we can only write reports as feasibly and possibly we're capable of doing. Sometimes investigations are rapid, so you can't write a report. You take notes, and some time goes by before you actually document the information on an official report. The information's there, it's gathered, it's maintained by the investigator, it's shared, it's acted on at times, but the official reports might take some time to write.
So obviously, if you're, like you said, things are fast moving in an investigation, it might be that you interview a witness on a Tuesday, you're super busy on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it might be Friday before you can even sit down and draft a report about that interview that you did on Tuesday, correct?
Different circumstances dictate differently.
That would be completely normal.
Yes, it is.
But most of the time, it's best practices, and you're taught, and you teach your subordinates, that it's best practices to reduce to writing and memorialize a report as close in time to the event in question that's being memorialized as you can, right? Perfect world.
In the perfect world, we'd write it as it's happening.
Are you aware that more than 20 official police reports in this case were not recorded for more than 100 days from the time that the event in question was done, was being memorialized?
I did not know the exact date and delay.
Are you aware that there are 11 reports that are more than 300 days from the time of the event that was being memorialized?
I was not aware, no.
Are you aware that there are 3 reports that are more than 400 days from the time of the event that was being memorialized?
I am not aware, no.
Are you aware that there are 4 reports that are more than 500 days from the time of the event that's being memorialized?
I am not aware, no.
Are you aware that the longest delay of any report in this investigation was 581 days?
I am not aware of that, no.
You became aware early on in your investigation of 2 individuals named Ricky D'Antano and Heather Maxson, correct?
They are witnesses, yes.
Both Ricky D'Antano and Heather Maxson, you learned, were outside 34 Fairview in the early morning hours of January 29th, correct?
We did learn within our investigation at some point, yes.
And you learned, Sergeant, very early on in that investigation because you interviewed Ryan Nagel in February of 2022. It's just days after the event, correct?
I'm not sure of the exact date.
Obviously, as you just said, you became aware that Ricky D'Antano and Heather Maxson were witnesses in your homicide investigation, important witnesses, you'd agree, correct?
They were witnesses.
You learned that they arrived at the house at 34 Fairview sometime after Karen Reed and John O'Keefe arrived and pulled up behind their parked SUV, correct?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure. You learned that where they fit into the investigative puzzle is that they pulled up behind Karen Reed's SUV when Karen Reed and John O'Keefe arrived at 34 Fairview. They pulled up sometime after that and pulled up right behind them, correct?
That's not correct.
What is not correct about that?
They arrived simultaneously. Karen Reed took a right onto Fairview. They yielded to them and followed towards 34 Fairview, stopping at the driveway as Karen Reed proceeded further up.
Did you listen to the testimony in this case up to this point?
No.
There's a sequestration order, correct? Correct?
Yes, yes.
It means you can't listen to the testimony of witnesses, eyewitnesses who are testifying in front of these jurors.
Correct, yes.
You don't know how witnesses have testified from that witness box in front of these jurors, correct?
I have no idea.
Okay. So your information is that they pulled up simultaneously, correct?
Objection.
Is that what you just testified to?
That's my memory from what the interview produced.
You certainly knew that there were eyewitnesses to the condition and the location of Miss Reed's SUV, correct?
Yes, yes, from their interviews, yes.
And you also are aware that they would have been in a position to see the occupants of Miss Reed's SUV as they were behind it and then pulled around it, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you become aware that they were in a position behind the SUV and as they pull around it, they could still see the SUV?
Objection.
Sustained.
You knew what potential role they played in your investigation as eyewitnesses, correct? Generally?
When we interviewed them, when we learned of their existence, when we interviewed them, we collected information based on their recollection.
Okay. My question was, you're aware that they had a certain perspective as it relates to the SUV that night, early morning hours, right?
Based on their interviews, they had a perspective with the brake light being on constantly.
I'm not asking you what they said. I'm asking you if during the course of your investigation you learned that Ricky D'Antano and Heather Maxson had a perspective. They were eyewitnesses to certain things. As
Yes.
relative to the SUV, correct?
Yes.
You instructed your subordinate, Michael Proctor, to interview those witnesses in August of 2022, correct?
I'm not sure when they were interviewed. I don't have a memory of instructing him to go interview them.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can you take a look at that document and tell me if you, why don't you just tell me if that, whether or not that refreshes your recollection as to communications you had with Michael Proctor specifically? Thank you, Sergeant. Does that refresh your recollection as to a conversation, or I'm sorry, a communication that you had with Michael Proctor?
Unfortunately, it does not. I will take the document at face value. I do not have a memory of having these communications, but I will take the document if it's authentic and it is true and accurate that it took place. But I do not have a memory of sending these text messages.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You want my
Also, my name's misspelled in there. Is that from the extraction, or where is that from?
Couldn't tell you. Wasn't me.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I can't take credit for that. Thank you. Thanks.
All right, here's my Chat GPT joke.
If your memory is not refreshed about that particular communication, do you remember in general communicating with Michael Proctor about interviewing Ricky D'Antonio and Heather Maxson?
I do not know. I'm sorry.
Would that have been something that you would have found important relatively early on in the investigation? Yeah, these are eyewitnesses. Let's get them interviewed.
Yes, it is. It is important to interview anyone that's an eyewitness. Sometimes it takes longer because. Are you listening? I'm sorry.
Thanks.
You asked the question. I just wanted to answer.
I know the answers to my own questions. Go ahead.
Okay. So while we want to interview every eyewitness, sometimes an important fact is already detailed and witnessed by another witness. So in this situation, we had already interviewed one of the occupants, the one that was driving, the one that had the observed the events taking place. And we asked him if we were going to talk to the other two, would they have the same recollection, observations? Did they leave the vehicle to go in the house at all? Anything like that, anything different? So that's...
Okay, so it would be important, obviously, to interview witnesses in a timely manner.
In some instances, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Do you remember when Trooper Proctor actually interviewed Ricky D'Antonio and, I'm sorry, when Michael Proctor interviewed Ricky D'Antonio and Heather Maxson?
I do not have a memory of that, no. I'm sure a report would indicate when.
May I approach that?
Yes.
I may have misspoken. Sergeant, take a look at that. I thought that was a report from somebody else. It's a report from you, actually. Tell me if that refreshes your recollection as to when Ricky D'Antonio was actually interviewed.
Yes, this report, authored by me, was states that on Saturday, September 2nd, he was interviewed.
What year?
2023.
So that would have been a year and a half later, correct?
Yes.
Do you believe that's a timely report, or rather a timely interview for an eyewitness, the gravity of which is described in your report?
We again, perfect ideal world scenario, it would be quicker.
So that would be, no excuses, I'm not throwing bars, but that would be untimely, correct? Year and a half later?
We do the best we can.
You indicated that your memory was that the cars arrived simultaneously. That's a interview with Ricky D'Antonio. You see the highlighted portion?
I see.
Ricky D'Antonio actually told you that the car was parked, correct?
Objection.
The objection sustained.
Your Honor, may we approach with them?
Yes, can I see that, please?
Okay. Okay. Chat GPT. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my client didn't kill anyone. She just backed into a conspiracy so big, even the town's Duncan has an alibi. All right. Your Honor, the evidence will show that nothing in this case makes sense, including the Wi-Fi router, the taillight, and half the witness list.
Trial date.
It would request a warrant, Your Honor. It looks like,
Yeah, it's the second failure group here. Okay, issue a warrant, $1,000.
Only on Law Talk with Mike do you get the in-court glow up at intermissions. No other channel will do this for you.
Any others, Mr. President?
The last matter I had to call at the moment is numbers 5 and 6 on the 10 a.m. calendar. Felicia Peterson, they're currently in custody, and I just want to make sure the court was aware, but I do believe they've been moved over.
Yes, I saw that this morning.
Okay.
And that's been done.
Then I would defer back to Attorney Myers.
All right, Ms. Myers, I think we're back to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. One matter I forgot to call out earlier. Number 3 on the 8:30 calendar, Mr. Eric Kohler. I'm appearing on his behalf. There should be a state's motion to dismiss this case.
I'm in court.
Ms. Gitmarker? Ms. Gitmarker?
Okay, I'm sorry. What was the name of the case?
Eric Kohler.
Yes.
Thank you. Isn't it true that when you interviewed Ricky D'Antonio, he indicated that upon their arrival at the home, 34 Fairview, quote, a dark-colored SUV was parked in front of the home facing up towards Chapman Street. That's what he told me, correct?
That's what the report indicates for Ricky's interview, yes.
And in fact, you wrote this report based on Ricky's interview.
I wrote that report, yes.
Thank you. If I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm just about to.
Why don't we come to sidebar now from the floor?
Come to the sidebar.
Yes, Your Honor. State's moving to dismiss without prejudice in the interest of justice.
I don't worry about sidebars.
That Kohler case is dismissed.
I've got a makeup tutorial going on here.
And he's not present, correct?
He is not present, Your Honor.
Okay.
I am moving this case to number 3.4.
What the hell's going on here now? You see, I don't have the volume, but I can see in a little picture that the fan was gone. It's nice to see Dr. Evil. He's looking good.
Coochie. Gotcha.
That's him in the spotlight.
There is no schedule at Law Talk Nation. You can only pray, get a notification. If you're lucky, it's a spicy fornication. It's another day on Law Talk with Mike. We got pre-trial on the dial. Planning always make your chap smile. The pros say can't ever share a file. Defendants are always in denial. He was not driving.
More important for me to talk to the lawyers about scheduling, to give you some idea on how we're doing. I can tell you that everybody's in agreement that we are right on schedule. So we're not behind schedule. Optimistically, maybe we're still a little bit ahead, but we are on schedule for that is what happens. Monday, I'm going to ask you all to come in at 10. So we'll start with 10 o'clock on Monday, and we will go a full day Monday. We'll move every day next week, we'll use a full day. So we will see you next week. Those same cautions. Please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know. Be very careful with your social media use, and we'll find you guys on Monday at 10. So I believe that.
Well, I'll talk with Mike for all your care and read trial needs.
Goodbye.
There you have it. That's all you need to know. Well, I'll talk with Mike is all over it. He slid into this thing hungover on day 13 and learned a little bit from his chat. I don't know what else you could possibly want. By the way, I'm not hungover. I didn't drink last night or this morning, or I don't remember the last time I drank. Probably a few days ago. I don't know. Seriously, thank you guys. I don't know what I'll do with this. You tell me. Tell me in the chat. Should I just throw this in the members area? Take it down? I mean, I started mid-witness midday on day 13 and offered nothing. However, I will say this is my new favorite. I've always got a favorite going. Like it you know, it'll get old, but
Coochie. Gotcha.
I absolutely love it. I'm not right. It's just so ridiculous. The gotcha afterwards, which is irrelevant. It just completes the whole thing for me. It really does. Good times. All right. I've got a little happy hour. I think I'm going to go in about an hour at about 4 o'clock. I'll just close this. I always feel bad because then here's the dilemma. You guys don't care, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to put you some knowledge on some stuff you absolutely will not care about. Here's my dilemma. When I do a stream like this that I just want to get rid of and never speak of again, what I'll do, I don't want anyone else to see it because it's like, you know, it started in the middle and didn't go anywhere. Okay. So then I'll take it and I'll make it private. And then I'll have like a dozen people who are like, a-hole, I was in the middle of watching that. But if I don't take it down, then I have people watching it going, why the hell did you leave this on your channel? And and I'm thinking to both of those comments, I'm thinking that's a really good point. Either one of those is a really good point. And that's why I don't know what to do. So I guess I'll leave it up for a little bit. You know what I should do is just do it in the middle of the night. Just take it down. I don't know. Who knows? If only I'd learned how to YouTube in the past 5 years, I'd have answers to such questions, but I haven't. I don't think it'll ever happen. Thank you for coming out. I do have a few things put together for a happy hour, so I'll do something I'm thinking about in about an hour from now. Thanks for coming out. I really do appreciate it. I will see y'all soon.